Okay, I see it's recording.
This is
Hi.
a series of Become Visible. My name is Maria Kiss, and I'm the founder of Become Visible and How to Discover the Genius Within, which is to help women discover their talents and share the gifts with the world through becoming more confident. So today we have a guest speaker, Naina Mansukhani. Hi, Naina. Welcome.
Hey, Maria. Thank you so much
Nice to
for
see you
having me.
again. My pleasure. So I just like
Nice to be here.
yes, say a few words about Naina. She's a former lawyer. She is a Nike athlete, so she's a very passionate runner. That's what she loves the most.
Very.
Excellent. She is a transformational coach as well, and that's how I met her. She's one of my mentors and a dear friend. So it's a pleasure to have you. So, Naina,
Thank you.
You're welcome. What does being visible mean to you?
For me, being visible, it means to just stand out, be comfortable in your skin, more importantly, and be able to be a person that can validate themselves as opposed to looking for other people to do it for you. And also for me, being visible means to actually achieve the things you want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of it. To be a go-getter despite the odds, despite what people say.
Yes. So how did you find when you first became visible? Like what was it a process, or was it a particular sort of moment that you discovered, okay, I'm ready now to go out and share my passion and talents with the world?
So for me, it was actually by accident, because I was in a boarding school, and I can really resonate with the questions that you've just asked me, because
Mm-hmm.
and even when you were briefing me about this interview, I was thinking that I can resonate so much with this, because when I was in my boarding school, I was a complete social outcast, and I was considered like the uncoolest kid in school. And it was a devastating experience, and I tried so hard to fit in. And actually there was that whole phase, I felt completely invisible, like no one could see me, no one wanted to have anything to do with me, and it was just really sad. But that's how boarding schools can be sometimes. And I realized that my loneliness and my lack of fitting in and being terminally uncool led me to running, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I started running, and I found passion in it. And then I started winning races, then I started representing the district, the city, the state. And it became such a drive for me that it changed my world. And then I stopped caring.
So when
and the less I cared,
yeah.
and I think the less I cared about being visible, the more visible I became, because I just started focusing on my strengths, and I stopped trying to fit in, and it changed everything for me.
So would you say that then stop caring came at the point when you decided that you didn't care what other people thought of you?
I didn't. And it's the most liberating feeling in the world, because when you care about what people are going to say, what they're going to think, you're never going to be able to please everyone, because no matter how perfect you are, people will still find something that you're not doing right. So I just think the power lies in just not giving a shit.
Yes. No, I agree. That's one of the major reasons why so many women are scared to come forward, because I think it's all these beliefs that we have that we adapt since a very young childhood from society, from different sources, and then we just kind of scared, what will other people think, am I gonna fail, and different questions that come up for people. So just going back, when you were at a boarding school, you said that you felt invisible. What did that feel like? Because that's what lots of women feel, they feel invisible. And what did it feel like for you?
It felt it was an isolating experience, felt lonely, alone. Then there was this there was this feeling like a desperation to be noticed, to have lots of friends, and it was a really sad place to be in. really sad place to be in. And then, you know, once I found my passion for running, everything changed. It just,
Right. So did you would say, like, once you found your passion, that's what then propelled you to go forward and sort of pursue it?
yeah, once I found my passion, I found my focus, and then after that, nothing mattered. After that, I felt like I did get visible, I did get noticed, and I did have those
Mm,
friends that I wanted to. But it's not that I needed any of it, because once I became
yes.
comfortable in myself, I didn't need to be noticed. I didn't care for it, because I was really happy in myself, and I felt very fulfilled as a person.
Mm,
So I didn't feel incomplete, or
yeah.
didn't feel the need to have somebody around. And it's crazy, because when you don't have it, you really want it, and when you
Yes.
and when you have it, you don't really look for it, and that's a very peaceful place to be in.
Mm, that's true. So that's a very valid point that you mentioned. When you felt that you were enough, you didn't look for that validation and you didn't care. That's when you actually felt that you could show up and be yourself.
Yeah, and the less I cared, the more accepted I became, because they're
Mm,
like, she doesn't really care.
yes. Do you feel that people actually feel that when how we feel, that they pick up on that?
Sorry, people feel how?
Do you feel that people pick up on how we feel if we're not feeling enough, that they
Yeah, I think
feel
so,
that and they
because
respond in,
you know, because a lot of people study body language, and they're
yes.
very good at all those things, but I don't
Mm,
feel like I've particularly understood body language all that well. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But what I feel really well is
mhm.
energy and vibes. And as soon as you see somebody is uncertain about themselves, you know the vibe. Sometimes if somebody's not sure of themselves, their vibe is that of arrogance or having more
Mm,
ego. It's just showing that you're stronger on the outside, so no one can spot your weakness. And
yeah.
it's crazy how you can feel that your energy can never lie, and I really believe in that.
Mm. I personally call that false confidence. I call false confidence and real confidence. Real confidence I term as authentic
Yeah,
confidence that actually comes from deep within you when you're just yourself,
yeah,
and false confidence comes from ego, when we sort
yep,
of try to pretend that we're confident, but you can actually see that, and then people try to put other people down. That's how
yes,
that's egoistic confidence.
yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. And I feel like when somebody tries to put another person down, it's
Mm.
because they're not secure about who they are, and because they're trying to, you know, feel important. And
Mm.
it's a negative approach to feeling good about yourself, is by putting somebody else down.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. It happens in work environments, it happens,
Mm.
you know, in relationships, it happens with friends. You see it so many times.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
so true. So then after running, obviously, what made you to go into coaching? How was that transition? I mean, obviously you're still running and you, that's
Yeah,
what made
so
you sort of start coaching?
this was really crazy. I never intended to become a coach ever, and quite frankly speaking, I'm the one that needed a coach. I really did, because it just
Wow.
I had so many things I felt that I was lacking. Even then, boarding school was a phase. Eventually, when I found running, I felt great about myself, which was fine. But then college and everything else, that was like another phase of my life, and I
Hmm.
was still learning. And I also realized that there's not a time in your life where you can feel confident all the time. At least that's not happened for me, because as
Yeah,
you're
I think you're
growing,
right.
as you're having different experiences, you will maybe feel a little nervous or uncertain in different
Mm.
phases in your life. So college was like that for me, and my mother has been very fixated on academics, and she loved the whole idea of me becoming a lawyer and making sure I get that education, which was really nice, and it was a great experience. And then I
Mm.
became a lawyer and worked for one of the best law firms in my country, which was
Wow.
so exciting for me. But then I realized that it's not me, because I was working all these hours, I was not getting enough time to run. And I loved running so much that despite the time constraints that I had, I ended up shooting a commercial for Nike in India while I was in the law firm, which was
Mm.
crazy and unimaginable. Because I said to the firm that if you have to fire me for taking this day off, it's fine. I will live with it, but I'm going. And I went. And that's when I realized that I'm not even doing something I enjoy in this firm.
Mm.
I mean, it seemed great for the first year that I was doing it, but then later I realized it's not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And then, you know, and Afin I've known my whole life. So he said, why don't you come and do this? And I was like, believe me, I don't think I can do this yet. And then he's like, you never thought you would be a lawyer. And there was a learning curve for that. And for
Mm.
coaching, it's the same thing. It's going to be a learning curve. And that was when it all began. I started, watching previews. I went to 40 previews that other people were doing and
Ah.
just sitting there and watching and taking notes on how they're doing it. Obviously, going through the program and getting coached myself helped me so much because I had
Mm.
breakthroughs and I was like, hey, imagine I could do this for somebody else. And it was like having this superpower. So
Wow,
I
that's
started taking it more seriously. The best part was doing this gives me time for my running, and I love travel. So I can be doing
mm.
this anywhere in the world, which is freedom to the level that I've always wanted it. So in just 1 year of doing Coach to Fortune and working with Afin, I traveled to like 7 countries doing previews and,
Fantastic.
just working with people, meeting all kinds of people. And then doing something like that without you even focusing on building your confidence, you never realize when you look back, you're like, shit, I did all those things and that was amazing.
Mm.
And I never thought I could,
Yes.
you know,
So,
and that it's been a really fun journey.
wow, that's amazing. So would you say just sometimes it just like if we in the flow and do something that we enjoy doing, that we kind of build our confidence even without our realizing it?
Yeah, sometimes the flow can really go against you. I
Mhm.
definitely would say I got lucky because I had like really good people around me, good people in my life. My mother was so supportive, so encouraging. My sisters, my brother-in-law, so my support structure
Mm.
has been great. So the flow worked for me, but I feel like for everybody else, and even for me, you have to sit down and think about what would I do for the rest of my life, even if I didn't get paid
Mm.
for it.
Yes.
And I feel like that other than coaching I have more than one passion, so I feel that these are things that I can build on and actually make a great career out of them.
Mm. So yeah, sometimes
Mm.
like especially women just think like, so what is that one thing you tend to get so fixated? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? I mean, I know
Yeah.
like for 10 years, like I just want to know my purpose. What would your message be to someone that's thinking like searching for that purpose all the time and not actually taking any steps because waiting for that purpose to sort of just magically appear?
Sometimes it just falls in your lap, this
Mm-hmm.
purpose. It comes when you're not really overthinking it, but you have the intention of finding it. But sometimes you've got to take a seat back and think about what you really want to do and what would your purpose be. You could touch people's lives in so
Mm-hmm.
many different ways. You could have a purpose by being a lawyer. You could have a purpose by being a runner where you run this great difficult race
Mm.
and everyone's suddenly inspired by you. You could have a purpose by being a musician where your music and your words, they're touching people's lives and they're changing somebody's state. They can take,
Mm.
because music is really powerful like that,
Of
somebody
course,
from a
yeah.
absolute bad state to such a great state. You could have purpose being an actor where the movies and the roles that you're playing, it's just inspiring someone and giving them hope. Your
Mm.
purpose could be in so many. You could have a purpose when you're being a vet and taking care of pets, and you there's so many
Yes.
different ways of doing it,
I think
you
that's a
know
very good point because sometimes we tend to think that it has to be something massive and it has to be something spiritual and, that we change the world. But it can actually be something small. So rather than just being fixated, or maybe would you say it
yeah.
would help like asking a question like, what is my purpose? What am I passionate about? If we ask good quality questions, would you say
Yeah, you're gonna
that's
get good
helpful?
quality answers. For sure,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, I would say for me, it all starts and ends with passion. How passionate you are about something, because if it's about things people want you to do or things that you feel I should do because they seem right, then
Yes.
I feel eventually you get out of it, your mind trying to do it, or you just get frustrated. But when you are passionate about something, it's
Mm.
like a game changer for you, and then you just smash it.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So then what would you say like confidence is to you, if you had to describe it in words? Or is that possible to describe it, kind of just to give it a short
I don't really know if it's possible to describe in words, but I'm gonna try anyway because I will. Um, I'm gonna try. It's a feeling where you
Mhm,
feel, invincible. You don't care what anyone says or what anyone's doing. You're complete in yourself.
mhm,
You feel free, liberated. It's that feeling where you're just unstoppable,
mm,
and you find happiness in small victories, and you reward yourself for that.
mm. I like the way you explained that, because from what you were saying, it actually feels like when you embody something. So it's actually a feeling in your body rather than being in your head, because most of the time when people think of confidence is that how do you think about yourself, but you were actually using feeling a lot, which means you in your body rather than in your head.
Yeah, people have maybe different ways of describing that for themselves, but I'm more kinesthetic, so for
Yeah.
me it's going to be feeling, and
Mm.
how that would make you feel, you know.
No, but I really like that. Yeah. So no, that's great, Nana. So do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners to kind of, well, what would you recommend if someone's really stuck and they don't know where to start and they would like to be out there and sort of help people in the world, but they don't know how to do it and how to go about it, and what would
You should ask themselves questions like, how can I be unstuck? What can I do to be not stuck?
Mm,
And what am I passionate about? And what would I love doing the rest of my life, even if I wasn't getting paid for it? What would I love to make a career out of? What would I do if there were no limits? Like if
mm,
there was no restrictions, no obstacles, what would I be? Because I feel that there's so many possibilities, but people limit themselves, and they're their own limitations. Like they say, I'm not clever enough, not qualified enough, not rich enough, not smart enough, whatever they are, and their self-imposed limitations. Instead of focusing on what is going to stop that from happening, you just ask questions like, how can I make that happen instead?
yeah.
you know
So again, yeah, powerful questions are very important, aren't they?
Very. You just change the quality of conversations you're having with yourself.
And that's, yeah, and relationship with ourselves is the most important one.
That is so important. And I've
Mm,
come to realize that your relationship with yourself will define your whole life. It will. How
yeah.
much you value yourself, how much you believe in yourself, how much you think you're worth something, what
Mm,
you can accept, what you cannot accept. These are things that would change everything for you. I mean, it will even improve your relationships with other people because you
mm,
know what you're about.
of course. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you, Nana. That was so nice, and it was really nice of you to share
Thanks.
any and tips, and hopefully that will.
Thank you, Maria. It was nice of you to have me. I really enjoyed doing this because it really made me think, deep things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I never before did I ever think about describing confidence. I never
Mm,
thought that, or, what it's like to be invincible or feeling
yes.
invisible. But yeah, it's really good. Got me thinking as well. Thank you.
That's good. I'm glad. Yes, it always helps. I mean, it got me thinking about certain things, and it's nice to always have a different perspective. For, as you said, different people feel different things and they describe things differently because they have different experience. So it's always nice to hear other people's experiences. And
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you very much for being here today, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Maria. See you soon.
My
Bye. Take
pleasure.
care.
Bye. You too.
Bye.